Gosh.
Are you ready? You ready for who has, if you are here and you have recently become more blonde, raise your hand. Hi, with the two more blondes.
Yeah. Well, the difference, I feel like you have sun blonde. You have the real sun-kissed, I was just on a beach in Mexico kind of a thing.
It's
Because
true.
everyone should know Kylie's been on vacation for like a month.
I know. I know. It's my favorite time of the year. The most wonderful time of the year when I'm on
Mm.
vacation forever.
I know. Yeah, and it's definitely time for me to
Yes.
get on an airplane, which is coming. So by the time you guys hear this episode, will have landed. I will have
Yes.
landed
Here.
and gotten Kylie's doorstep.
That's
Yeah.
right. You're coming to Florida to spend time in this beautiful city. We love St. Pete. It's a great place. Maybe we'll see you out in the town this weekend, having a great time.
Well, yes, and I will be the pale girl dancing somewhere in St. Pete. I will be dance on a park bench. I really don't care. It just feels like that's the right thing for me to do when I'm in St. Petersburg because I have a history of doing some dancing in
In the
Tampa.
city. I know.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I have a scar on my knee that will be there
Listen,
forever.
we all have scars from our early 20s. Nothing to be ashamed of.
That's a good one,
Emotional
Kylie.
scars, physical
Yeah.
scars, they come with the territory of having an underdeveloped frontal lobe. That's really what it comes from.
No. Well, I call it my get low scar because I remember the song that I hurt myself to, from the window to the
So that's all.
wall and, the rest. Anyway, that was the song I blew out my knee to. Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
in St.
that's
Pete.
amazing. Okay, well, hopefully this weekend will not show up with any scar-inducing events. Keep
No,
it we'll
it can't happen because that knee is
no
indestructible at this
injuries.
point. Right. It's been
Injury-free
fixed and
weekend.
I am ready.
Okay, good. Yay. Well, we're gonna dance and we're gonna have some fun. So the ladies of the neighborhood are ready to hang out. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have a great
can't wait.
time.
We
Yeah.
all need that. And so this
Yes.
brings up the topic du jour
Huh.
because this was on top of mind is that it becomes very clear to us that folks have a tough time being healthy when they travel. And it's the decision making process, but it's also like I don't want to have to think about this. This is what I'm going on vacation for. But sorry to break it to you. Yes, we do kind of need to think about it, have a little bit of a plan depending on what type of travel that you're doing. And between Kylie and I, we've done some kind of creative traveling. For me, it's mostly go to a conference and figure out how not to starve at least in my shoes. But talking to people that we've worked with, we help them create a plan too for like the road trip wellness kind of a deal. So we've got some really good scenarios to bring up the travel tips for days because Kylie's had some very creative travel in the last year, six
Years.
months, really. Years. Yeah.
Years.
Years. Yeah. Where do you even begin?
Well, I mean, it is hard to begin, but it's also how we've both integrated, again, our professional and personal lives into one. And I think that there's this desire. It's like this idea that when we go on vacation, we're supposed to just like let loose or like let go of everything. And the reality is that like, yeah, it's fun to be on vacation and like really escape. But does it mean that you have to actually come back feeling worse than when you left for vacation? And if you're somebody who really cares about coming back from vacation feeling refreshed and renewed, if you're spending your days, drinking and eating fried foods on the beach, you're not going to come back feeling better. You're probably going to come back feeling worse and you're going to be exhausted and dehydrated and depleted of nutrition. So one of the things that we've found over the years, not just for our own personal life, but also working with so many people who are really looking to maintain their wellness integrity even when they travel, right? Like we've come up with really creative solutions and it's fun to start individualizing and finding out ways to incorporate the lifestyle habits that you do offline that you feel good about. See, here's the thing. Vacation should be about feeling good, right? We want to come back from vacation feeling optimal. And if we're depleting ourselves with, heavy drinking or late night partying and all the things that, that accumulate over many, many, many days of a vacation, then you're most likely not going to come back feeling optimal, right? So how do we preserve the regular sort of routine, everyday things that you're doing that you feel good about? So yeah, that's something we have integrated into our lives as well. It's funny, every time we are prepping for a trip, the top things we look for when we're planning, whether we're staying in an Airbnb, whether we're staying in a hotel, a resort, we look for local, convenient, close markets or grocery stores, and we look for local and convenient gyms. Or in particular, Cyrus likes to find a CrossFit gym. I love to find a yoga studio. I love to find a place to practice yoga when I'm traveling. I love experiencing, the thing that I love in different parts of the world, right? That brings me joy. That brings me a lot of helps me feel like I'm coming back with something special, right? It's like my little souvenir. Where did I practice yoga on my trip?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's a different type of mental space when you think about going on vacation. And, the places where people, I think, sometimes the biggest places where people get held up are in the actual getting to the place that they're going. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can do it once I get there." But it's like, for example, if I'm taking a road trip, how do I nourish myself on the road? If I'm going on a flight, if I'm flying all day, right? I'm traveling all day, like where am I going to get food that sustains me? How am I going to feed myself or nourish myself in a way that's going to be in alignment with my goals? While I'm at an airport or stuck between layovers, or God forbid my flight gets canceled or delayed, then what? It's these little like sort of unexpected things that happen that can sometimes throw a wrench in the plans too.
I think there's so much to think about with travel, but it's also because I'm super controlling about food, and I don't mean that in, like, controlling as in, this is like a PSA on disordered habits with food. What I mean
Mhm,
is that it's security for me. If I
mhm.
know that I've got somewhere to eat, I feel less anxious, so I have to make
Sure.
sure that I eliminate that factor just with having type 1, right? Like, I don't wanna be without a meal that's gonna make me feel good because I get cranky, I won't sleep very well. I'll be paranoid about where, and I've said this before, but coffee's not a food group. As much as we want to be able to just lean into coffee, it's really great to be able to know that there's a smoothie place around the corner so that we have a way to kind of like design something to drink that's at least going to give us good nourishment. But that doesn't necessarily fulfill our hunger or our appetite if what we're really craving is some substance. A huge barrier I think that people run into that they have to decide they are going to not allow immediately is that excuse of, well, we just didn't have room to pack anything to eat. I have heard this on road trips. We didn't have room for a cooler. I've heard this with the backpack. We just don't have room to put any food in there to take anything with us. So we're just going to rely on what that means in an airport is you're going to rely on where you ever stopped at the gate. Or trust me, that's going to end up being like 10 hours without food. It's just going to end up being something where you get somewhere, there wasn't any food available. Now, what are you going to do? And if you end up in a road trip, that's going to be when you stop for gas and you're going to hope that there's something healthy around that you can choose. But what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a situation where you have to think constructively and you're already past the point of being hungry. We all know there's nothing worse than being in a grocery store when you're starving. So if you're on the road and you're between Dairy Queens, what do you think you're going to choose?
Mhm. It's so true. I
So don't
mean,
set yourself up
yeah.
to end up in the position that you made very clear that you didn't want to end up in. So don't throw your goals out the window. This can be thought through and it can be worked on.
It's so true. It's so true. It's such a good point. A couple different thoughts on the road trip come up for me, which is one, car picnic is fun. And especially having a 3-year-old in tow, like we have car picnics all the time. Like I will stop in the grocery store and pick up some fruit or some hummus and vegetables, that they make really great snacks in the car. And, you can have a little picnic in the car or just with a blanket, you can just throw that on the ground somewhere. If it's like, well, it has to be a restaurant. Well, who says your food has to come from a restaurant, really?
Mhm.
Right? You could go to the grocery store and buy fresh foods. We are known to just have cans of beans around. When we took cans of beans on the cruise so that we would have extra food at the end of the day in case we needed a little bit more food to eat. We were feeling hungry because we were working so much on the cruise. Sometimes when in those situations, it's hard to know, like, maybe we planned to eat dinner earlier or later or whatever, but we got held up with something else, right? So we had to come prepared. And same thing with when we were just in Mexico on our way to the resort. we asked the driver to stop and take us to the grocery store so that we could get mangoes, and we got mamey sapotes, and we got bananas, and we got a ton of fruit that we'd have in our room. So that way, when we're off in between sessions and things like that, we don't have time to go to the restaurant and get food. We would have snacks that would at least maintain our nutritional integrity, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's a really important part of this is learning how to advocate for yourself, learning how to look around at where your resources are. So to your point, okay, if the only thing you see is Dairy Queen to Dairy Queen on the road in the middle of, wherever you're traveling, then or fill in the blank fast food restaurant, probably at one of those exits, you're going to find a grocery store. So,
Mm,
plug that into your GPS. Where's the next grocery store? And,
mhm,
there's so much more convenience now in the sense of using our smartphones all have a GPS on them. So that's a automatic place to go for a resource to find where you can shop for, food that's going to nourish you for the next phase of your journey. If you don't have room for a cooler and you can't pack a whole cooler full of food for a week, just take it from one stop to the next. Where can I stop at a grocery store here in this place where I'm hungry to have
mhm,
some food that will carry me on until the next part of my journey where maybe I'll make more space or I'll have a little more room.
mhm.
So those are the kinds of things to start thinking about when you're planning for travel. And of course, we are approaching travel. We're in April now. Summer's on its way. It's approaching really quickly. This is such a great time to talk about travel because, there's lots of people out there doing road trips, taking road trips. We've done RV trips, which have
Mhm.
been incredible to explore different parts of the US. And again, you kind of stop and refill along the way. Like we would stop at grocery stores with our RV and fill up
Mhm.
on beans and fresh produce, and we'd find markets, and it was such a great way to stay aligned with our eating strategy and not fall off of that, lose our nutritional integrity. I just came up with that phrase, nutritional integrity, and I'm kind of like loving it right
I
now.
like it. I was just thinking how much fun it would be to be on the road with you guys. I feel like I'd be such a bad influence, but mostly on you. Cyrus would be like, "You 2 need to shut it."
Oh my God. It would be so much fun.
It would be
We would do
he
facial
would
masks and like we would just
well,
be
it'd be so much worse
giggling. It
than
would be
that.
so
I
much.
mean, yeah, I think he'd be like, "You guys need to be quiet." It'd be like,
I'm driving this
remind
RV.
I know, exactly. Like, quite like, I have that picture of, like, my favorite movie, A League of Their Own, and the little kid screaming in the bus, and he goes up to the driver and covers his eyes,
Yeah. Oh
Anyway,
my
all the
gosh.
visions in my head of being a bad
I love
influence.
that
You reminded me of
movie.
so many things. So everybody that's thinking about how to prepare for the road so that you're not kind of sabotaging this wellness glory and the nutritional integrity that you're coming up with here. That was it, Kylie, right? Nutritional integrity,
Yes.
that's the one.
Yes. Yes.
Is make sure that your hotel has a refrigerator.
Yes.
I've noticed that this can happen in a city. So if you're headed out to go to a conference, you're kind of like doing a work thing, is that it will save you for sure. Because if you have a good restaurant, True Kitchen is one that I've noticed is that in a lot of big cities, True Kitchen has a wonderful veggie burger. I love it. They have a lot of different options too if you're trying to stay in the plant based area, at least if you're trying to choose plant based as much as possible. Remove the perfection, right? We're not trying to be perfect on everything. We're not reading every single label and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to like blow my tracking. That is not what we're saying. If you're trying to make the best choices possible, you're leaning into the plants. Lean towards the plants and lean in towards the portion sizes that you're not going to feel guilty about if you happen to be sitting for 10 hours at a conference. I'm talking about like maybe don't hit up the Cheesecake Factory. And if you do, split that meal in half. But the only way that you're going to get miles out of this is if you have a refrigerator. And the last place I stayed, I had to pull all the booze out of the fridge to make room for my food. There was a ton of I was in New Orleans. There was so much alcohol in that refrigerator, and it was just a little mini, and I yanked all of it out so that I could get the fruit that I had gotten from the market, which was just a walk down the street. I have almond milk that I put in there, and then I have a to go veggie wrap that I get from a place like True Kitchen. So that's my plan. And yeah, I will spend the flight down in my mind knowing that here's what I need to be able to wake up in the morning and eat what I want to eat. That's a big deal for me, but I will already have the city kind of cased. I'll want to stay where I can walk to a little grocery store, make sure that they have one, and I will be a couple blocks away from like the ultimate destination that I need to be in just so that I can feel more comfortable in my room. So have the fridge, have a plan, know where the markets are, be able to ask your driver like, "Hey, you got a spot that we can stop at?" If you didn't think about it, because in my experience, drivers love to give you the business if that's where they're from,
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah.
The other one I have is many, many, many years ago, I spent some time traveling between Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, kind of going up into the deep South. And the grocery store that they had there that I was seeing the most often was Harris Teeter. And I don't know if Publix works the same way or necessarily like Kroger, some of these big grocery chains, but I knew that Harris Teeter had an amazing salad bar with a lot of choices. And while I was in the middle of working and I was going kind of between locations at the time, I was able to walk in there and get 2 salads. So I could kind of like have something extra. So I never left with 1 meal. I always left with 2. And that
Smart.
was a savior. Yes, you
Yeah.
get extra every time.
Yeah.
It's just like batch cooking, but you're on the road.
Yeah. So smart. I mean, that's such a smart strategy. And I mean, I don't know about the Harris Teeter anymore. I know that like years ago during COVID, a lot of salad bars shut down. I know Whole Foods still has theirs open
Right.
now. But you know, if you do have a Whole Foods near you, they do have fresh food that they're preparing,
Mhm.
you know, and in their salad bars as well. So we've used Whole Foods often on, you know, for
Mhm.
that type of thing as well, where we will, you know, basically look for a Whole Foods market in our area where we're staying. And the other thing is, and you know, I love that you mentioned about bringing extra because it's true. Like be prepared, like have the extra food, have it ready because if you don't have it, then the search for food, especially if you're in an unfamiliar place, it triggers those feelings of safety and security. You know, it's very normal for us as humans with brains that tend to crave routine. We know that there's supposed to be a meal coming up, right? So if you don't have that plan for that meal, that can trigger some level of anxiety and our body starts to get a little bit dysregulated. And then all of a sudden it becomes like almost like, well, we need, you know, it can become a ruminating thought or a like, where am I going to
Mm,
eat tonight? Or, and then unfortunately, sometimes that can lead to decisions that maybe are out of alignment for what you were striving for. And
mhm.
so having that food prepped and ready to go, if you know you had one meal that was good, get the second one, you know, order 2 of the wraps like you were talking about from like Fresh
Mhm.
Kitchen. There's so many ways of approaching this. Same thing with so it's funny you had brought up the airports and the smoothies because we definitely look for juice and smoothie places at airports. That's a great strategy. The other place and I have a funny story about that from Tuesday when we were coming home. But the other place that I find at airports that I can always count on, especially in the morning, is Starbucks. They have steel cut
Mm,
oats. You can get it with you know plant milk or hot water. They have bananas, fresh fruit. So I'll usually get like a banana and oatmeal if I'm needing something in the morning from Starbucks. So that's kind of one of my little
mm.
kind of go to tricks or hacks, I guess.
Yeah.
But the other day we were in Atlanta at the airport in Atlanta waiting to board our flight. And Cyrus was like, oh, maybe I'll get a smoothie. So we went over to the smoothie place and he asked them, he said, is this made with whole fruit, you know, as opposed to like a fruit puree or some sort of like something that's got added sugar? What he
Mhm.
didn't say was, is there added sugar in this smoothie? And or in the mix. So he ends up getting this smoothie. He brought it over to me. He's like, "Is this any?" He's like, "I feel like this is a no." And I took one sip, and it was literally like I was drinking like pure sugar. And I was like,
Mm.
"Throw that away immediately! Like this is ridiculous! Like no, we're not eating that.
Bummer.
We're not. Nobody here
Yeah.
is drinking that." Not to mention, like at that point, it's 5 p.m. and like indigo would have been bouncing off the walls. So, but you know, again, just knowing what questions, like we are seasoned at this. And he asked
Yeah.
if there was whole fruit. They said yes, but he did not say, "Is there added sugar?" You know,
Mm.
such a critical question. Such a critical question because they automatically assume everybody wants the sugar juice or the whatever juice that's filled with, or the syrups, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, just knowing what to ask. Same thing. Sometimes when you look at menus at a restaurant, if you're traveling and you're not sure where to eat, you may look at a menu and be like, oh, there's nothing here for me. If it's a restaurant, like for example, an Asian restaurant is always a great place to land because you can get vegetables steamed, you can get rice steamed, and you can get steamed tofu. You can get food that's prepared in a way that will be the most optimal in terms of preserving the nutrients, not necessarily covered with sugar and oil and salt and the things that are going to take away
Mhm.
from the nutrient value of the food. So those are other things to think about like, okay, well, what kinds of restaurants, what types of tools do these restaurants have when I'm traveling? Just again, to have a steady choice, like a in
Mhm.
your pocket or something that's already, kind of the things that your go-tos that are in your back pocket ready to go. So,
Mhm.
for us, Asian restaurants tend to be a pretty sure bet for us.
Yeah, for sure. You got my brain going this time because um I don't know how often I've seen Chipotle in an
Hmm.
airport, but Chipotle being suburban, being kind of in the city, depending on, you're in the States and you're kind of on the move here, but Chipotle's are a place you can do the beans and the rice and the veggies, right? But the other idea I had when you said oatmeal is you can get oatmeal cups everywhere now. They're good to go. Quaker's got some. I was just looking at walmart.com the other day. They've got tons of different oatmeals. So depending on where you grocery shop, you can get these oatmeal cups and you can stack a couple of them in your backpack, nice and easy, because you can get hot water anywhere you've got a coffee shop. So if you're moving through the airport or you're moving through, a gas station or something. But, when you're going through an airport, you can't bring in water through security. Fill up your water cup with blueberries or some other kind of berry in itself. Usually raspberries, blueberries are going to be my go-to because when you get on the other side of that, you want your oatmeal. You can either start putting water in right away with your blueberries, but you've got your blueberries in there ready to go. So you can kind of start dropping that into your cup. So you've got more substance. That's what you're looking for. It's going to give you that kind of comfort at home food. So then hopefully you've made it a few more hours there before you get hungry again. So that's how you can you have an empty space when you can't put water in it. So put
Yeah,
something else in there.
so
It
smart.
could be cuties or something,
Yeah,
some oranges there. And then, you
that's
know
so
what I wanted to
smart.
show everybody? You know how you can pack the ultimate wrap that isn't messy?
Oh, tell
Okay.
me.
Everybody has to go to YouTube right now and watch
Okay,
what I'm doing. I'm basically making a tortilla out of this sheet of paper.
I
So
love it.
this is actually a very oddly shaped
Okay,
tortilla, but let's just pretend this is
your
perfectly round actually.
oval
I'm going to
tortilla.
go
Okay,
I know. I'm going to go a little bit rounder with this.
we're doing arts and
I know.
crafts here today.
Arts and crafts. Okay. Arts and
All
crafts.
right,
So basically, now it looks like a pumpkin. But anyway, we
okay,
have a
tortilla wrap.
tortilla.
Okay,
Yay. Here's what I'm going to do with a knife. I'm going to cut just up to the middle, from the bottom to
okay,
the middle. So now you kind of look at this like I almost have two halves of this tortilla.
yeah,
I've just cut it halfway up to the top because now what I can do is I can put hummus all over this. I can start packing this full of foods. And now you can fold it into quadrants like
yeah,
this, wrap the bottom up. And now you have basically what looks like a snow cone cup,
yeah.
but this sucker is full of food.
That's
And
amazing.
now you can stick this into a baggie
Like a
and you
little
can
Ziploc baggie, teeny
exactly,
tiny.
and you can stack them, right? So if you want to use a rubber band or something like that over the top, now you've got a whole bunch of these and you can pull them out and it's like the walking taco idea and now you can eat them this way
Nibble,
without
nibble.
making a huge mess.
Okay,
Tortilla.
I'm sorry, Lauren. This is amazing because I'm thinking about like all the times that I've been like skiing
Huh.
we've been out on like the slopes and we're like, there's like no room in your ski pocket, in your coat pockets
Mhm.
to put a snack. But that is the perfect snack because it's like
Yeah.
flat. You can just stick it right in your pockets, in your vest, in your ski jacket.
Otherwise you have this
Yeah. Who
and
can't, and it's all falling apart.
and it's hard to pack that because if you go this way with it, vertical, horizontal, it's going to
Right.
be gross.
All over the place.
It's going to squeeze all over
This
the
is
place.
brilliant.
And
This is
even for
brilliant.
kids, like this could be a
Yes.
PBJ. This could be your peanut butter jelly. You can kind of get this all put up together.
I put a
And then the
banana.
other thing I would do is have a bag full of grapes
Yeah.
also.
Oh my gosh. Lauren, I think that you should record some content tomorrow doing this on your way to Florida.
Well, we'll do it in your kitchen.
We'll do
We'll
it in
do it
my
in your
kitchen.
kitchen.
Okay, I'll get wraps. I got you.
Yeah. Oh yes. Our kitchen is we are never short on tortilla wraps.
Yeah.
There's a brand called Tomorrow's that I really, really like.
Okay.
It's one of the healthier options here. I don't know if people can find them everywhere. It's kind of
Uh-huh.
interesting that a lot of the times, a little cooking shopping tip is that the healthier, higher fiber tortillas are often in the deli area. They're
Mm,
not always in the aisle with the rest of the tortillas.
okay.
Same
That's
with the
good to know.
breads. Yep. My favorite brand of bread is called Silver Hills. They have a line called the Big 16. It's the highest in fiber, highest in protein bread that you can find. It's a sprouted grain and it's
Amazing.
delicious. Yep. Target will carry it. Whole Foods carries it, but you'll see it in kind of random, like even like mom and pop grocery stores I've seen
Yeah.
it in. So just
Okay.
Silver Hills, look it up. You'll see.
PSA from Lauren. I love this. Thank you so much.
I love
Well,
the
I mean,
grocery
we've
store.
got and here's the thing, like, if you're traveling and you're like, "I might be going that neck of the woods," you can check out some local grocery stores too. We love that when we travel. We love to check out different, like, local either markets or things that are to the area. I think that's a really great way to
Mhm.
also explore in your travel experience. So,
Mhm.
but it is a really, it is, I think, again, when we kind of talk about adding things to our lives that bring us joy, for a lot of people, travel and vacation is a big part of that. But I've heard from so many people that they hate coming back from a vacation feeling worse than when they left. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that it's like you're off, right? So, what I think the invitation is today is for your next trip, for next time you're traveling, let's think about ways you can stay on. What are the things you love doing, right? How can you take those things that you love doing and do them while you're on a vacation in a new place, maybe? Find the local yoga studios, find the local spin cycle. Oh my gosh, spin cycle. Laundry. Do you love laundry? If you do, I've got the perfect vacation plan for you. Find the local spin studio or cycle studio. Rent an e-bike, go on an e-bike tour. One of my favorite memories of Costa Rica was when Cyrus and I went up to the mountains and we went for like a weekend and we did a tour with a tour guide and we had e-bikes and we rode all through the mountains and you can do active things on your vacation to keep yourself moving, to burn, to keep your heart rate elevated. And it was so exciting and so much fun. And so I just think
Mhm.
that this idea of wellness travel it's out there. There's a lot of people seeking it. I know there's a lot of people, especially people doing like yoga retreats and things that are sort
Mhm.
of next level in terms of how do we take our travel and our daily practices and combine them into something satisfying, relaxing, restorative, but also that leaves us feeling filled rather than depleted when we come home. And that's the thing that, if, that's what we just did in Mexico. I'm not gonna lie. Like we were at a place that it's a plant-based resort. We had there were 2 yoga classes every day. They had a meditation class. Like there was classes all day long. They had watercolor painting on the beach if you wanted to participate. The meals were so amazing. They had mocktails that, were made from fresh juices and they had all these
Mhm.
amazing anti-inflammatory ingredients. It really just like fueled our souls and filled
Mhm.
us up in a way that we felt secure, safe, and able to then sit and really rest. It
Mhm.
was amazing.
Yeah, the vacation, like, I feel like for the most part, people would hope the vacation would help them feel inspired about life. It's the reboot. Like, that's what you're
Mhm.
looking for. You just need to get away. And I understand that sometimes a family's just got to do Disney World. I get it.
For sure.
But Disney World has actually come around. There's a lot more healthy options at Disney World than there used to be. There's great ways to kind of find out ahead of time. I feel like that's one of the things that's valuable with Instagram is being able to actually
Mm,
find and see pictures of something. Specifically, if you're looking for a restaurant or a type of food or, a range of what's going to be offered if you're in a place where you're like, oh boy, what am I going to find? And we aren't going on, like, the MTV spring break anymore, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of us are grown up to the point where it's just like, "This ain't spring break anymore." So, we should be looking for things that get us inspired so that we can go somewhere and try something new and be active. I think the wellness tourism industry and the business itself is booming. People are wanting this. They're realizing that vacation should give me this inspiring experience. Even if you're not like a thrill seeker, you're not trying to find somewhere to go skydiving. You're going somewhere because you do want to have a inspiring moment at a spa or you want to be able to go hiking in a place that you would never see otherwise. I love the guided tours by bike or by hiking. And in fact, and tell everybody right now, if anyone wants to go on a cycling tour and you really want to go to Europe, you got to go see my friends over at wildatlanticcycling.com. Paul and Fiona, I love you guys and I can't wait to join you. I just don't know when. But as for anyone else that wants to go hit up Ireland from end to end, or Scotland or Spain, or they have a new route from London all the way through France. Anyway, I'm so excited about it. And they have a route in Croatia. So they've done a lot to try to put this together. So I can't tell you enough. Like, there are such great resources out there and good people that can help to give you that really, really cool experience. So, I mean, go for it. Then you're taken care of.
Yeah, totally. That
Yeah.
sounds epic.
I
Oh
mean,
my
I know
gosh.
sitting on the beach and just, like, doing the Mai Tai, it sounds great, but,
Mm,
like,
for like a day.
yeah, it's
A
like
day of that, just chill out on the beach. Like, I get that. But you're right.
yeah.
I think to expand and to see what else is out there and to explore is there's so much value in that for our hearts, for our minds, for our bodies. There's so much value. And to be able to explore the countryside in Europe on a bike while you're pushing the pedals, moving yourself forward, like that just sounds like chef's kiss to me. Like I would love that. And I think there's, like you said, there's so many, many, many opportunities like that all around. And so it doesn't have to be something that, it doesn't have to be every single day. Like you could take it one tour and like do a bike tour, or you could, get to a local gym, take a CrossFit gym somewhere that you're not familiar with. When we push those boundaries a little bit and like step into the unknown, it's just so exciting. There's so much to be offered there. And I think that's something else that we're kind of like touching on here, which is the mindset of if, when you're traveling, looking for opportunities to expand and to stay connected. And that's something that is a great part of the travel experience.
Yeah,
So,
don't let it drop,
yeah.
don't let yourself drop off. Think ahead. When I come home, I wanna feel this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then you're not backtracking. I hate to hear people say that they came back from vacation and they feel guilty
Mm.
because of something they did, and I think that in our position, certainly is the sounding ears in a coaching position is to say, "Hang on a minute. Let's focus on all the things that you did for yourself that you feel super good about because now you're home. So how do we get back on the bike now that you've come home? How do we restock your kitchen so that you're kind of in this position to rebuild your body from you don't have to tell me everything that you did to it, but it sounds like you did some stuff. So let's start to rebuild that biome in case you stripped it with a little bit of rum. What may have you done? Oh, and also you reminded me that I have to call out my parents because between Minnesota to Montana, they've driven many, many times. And they're going to drive back here to Minnesota from Montana in June for a little bit. They know every single Dairy Queen along the entire route along the highway. I know they know this. It reminded me to tell them, you guys don't do that anymore.
No more. No
Because
more
your
Dairy
daughter
Queen.
your daughter became a dietitian since you guys started doing that. So, we're gonna have a little different setup here, and
Oh
my
boy.
mom's so funny because she uses the dog as an excuse, "But Scout has to get out, and he deserves a pup cup, and he needs to have his little snack and his water." "Okay, he doesn't need a pup cup. He doesn't need it, Mom. You don't need to please don't give that dog dairy. Please don't do that." Anyway,
Scout. We love
he
Scout.
is.
We're the
We do.
Scout fan club here at Pretty
Scout
Glowas.
and also it's my 2-year-old Juniper's little birthday today. She's my
That's
rescue.
right.
She's my newest little hairy rescue,
Junie.
so
Happy
celebrating
birthday,
I
Junie.
know, happy birthday, Junie Purr Purr. I know,
She's so
she's such a
sweet.
sweetheart. I
She's like
feel
the biggest fluff ball. I think we should throw up some Junie pictures on our Instagram
okay, we could
for
do
her birthday, in
well,
honor of her birthday.
I had this idea, and I still haven't done it on the website, but to have a section called the Podcats,
Yes, we definitely need the
right?
podcats.
So, we'll put up some pictures of our
All of our
6
4
cats
babies,
between us
6 cats.
between us,
And
and Allie,
Allie,
and
she
Allie.
does act like a cat. She's really getting cat-like in her as she's adjusting to she gets really
Oh,
jealous. So we also have the 3rd cat that is our wild cat outside, Barry,
yeah,
that
Barry.
we care for and we feed him. And this morning, Mew and Blue and Barry were all playing together, and Allie was she was like so jealous. I felt so bad for her because they were all like walking around together and like sunning themselves. And Allie was just sort of like, I want to participate too. They just were kind of like, we're cats. You're not in
Is
on
Allie
this.
walking around with some swagger now because she's a runner?
She is. And she's like, get me back out there. I want to run. She's like born to run, this girl.
Oh,
Anyway, but the cats still are leaving her out and she feels jelly. We continue to work towards that time when
yeah,
she too can call herself a cat.
I know. Well, I work her up pretty good when I show up because
You
I've got my
do.
animal voice. So I'm an
I
Allie, Allie, Allie
know.
girl.
She
Um,
loves that. Well, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We'll have to decide if we're going to have an exploration day. Maybe we'll get on some e-bikes around town or do something in the
I
city.
will
We can go on a
not
bike.
let you get on an e-bike in St. Pete. It's as flat as it gets. You will get on a real bike. We'll get on beach cruisers.
Okay. We'll take a bike ride
Oh, I love
around
a
the city.
bike rental because I will just beat the heck out of that thing
Okay. Oh boy.
if we get some rental bikes.
Well, if I could do a relay with another friend, oh, there's a kitty. I
Sailor.
can do a bike ride with you in St. Pete. I've got my helmet. I'm ready to go. So let's do it.
I
Let's do
yeah.
it. All right.
See, this is too much. So we go from travel to
Weekend plans.
weekend plans, and
Yeah.
we're
So
pretty excited about
we are
this.
gonna record an episode together though. Our very first live in-person episode. So the next one you guys hear from us will be live from St. Petersburg, and we will have a fun episode for you. And Lauren, we're just gonna have a great weekend ahead. If you have travel plans in the future, I do hope that you decide to stay on track with whatever your goals are, and make, your choices. You choose your choices in the best ways possible.
Well, yes, and if you make the best wrap method of all time, I mean, you really should probably be tagging at Green Glow Lifestyle
Yes.
Podcast.
Tell us.
Yeah,
Yes.
give us a tag and let's see what you've created, and if you're having a little bit of fun about town, because we got some big ideas that we're gonna talk about this weekend, and of course, we've always had retreat dreams, and that may not be happening just yet, but, yeah, that could be exciting for everybody, and we're hoping to put a bunch of freebies up on the website so that we can stay connected to everyone. So
Mhm.
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
We're living into this experience, and we're going to continue to try to give you lots of free content, really, is what this is. But we've got some guests coming up that are going to, I think, knock your socks off too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Stay tuned and get excited. So, yeah, thanks, Lauren.
You're
We'll have a
welcome.
little dance exit today. We're gonna dance and have a great
Pretend
weekend.
that something's playing on in the background because
Pretend
I've
we
had
got
a lot of salt and pepper in my head lately.
oh gosh, your favorite. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.